Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dan Clark with this evening's edition of 444 News. Here in the Metro D.C. area, tonight and tonight only, the plane has landed carrying none other than Yuless Utter, self-acclaimed funny man and father to over 50 children.
Business.
Tonight and tonight only, here on 444 News, we will have the pleasure of speaking one-on-one with Yuless Utter. Stay tuned for Yuless Utter. Coming up next here on 444 News, the D.C. Metro area.
Like facing the question.
Mr. Utter, can you please tell us what brings you to Washington, D.C. this evening?
Well, I'm hoping I can run into that there Obama feller. I ain't never seen him in person, but I'm aiming to.
Mr. Utter, would you please make a comment on what would be your main objectives for the evening? Should you be granted permission to meet and sit with President Barack Obama?
It just seems like every time I turn around, there's a new law being passed, and it seems that he's this varmint that's assigning every one of them.
So, Mr. Utter, in other words, are you saying that you are totally against this war in the Middle East and that we are caught up in a situation we can no longer control?
I'm saying there's too much of this here going there, going here on vacations, and a whole lot of spending. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Utter, what you're saying is that you do not feel the president has the right to take a much-needed vacation from the world problems that burden him 24/7.
Now, you know better than that. You just ain't said nothing like that. Hey, I'm only responsible for what I say, not what your darn education allows you to understand. Do you hear what I'm saying, young'un?
Yes, Mr. Utter, I hear you loud and clear, and so do another 400,000 listeners in the 444 News area tonight.
Well, that'll be just dandy with me. The more the merrier. We gotta spread the word that this country has done put its socks on upside down.
Well, I've never heard it put like that before, but I'm sure we will learn a lot and gain a lot of insight tonight as we speak with Mr. Yuless Utter from Mayfield, Kentucky.
Where you hang that
tuned.
microphone.
Okay, and welcome back
sure
to 444 News, where we are currently speaking with Mr. Yuless Utter, who has flown a private plane in from Mayfield, Kentucky. Mr. Utter has a big concern about the United States and the power of the dollar and the direction our country is headed. Tonight's topic, the things $700 billion bailout could have done had it been given to the people of the United States and not handed over to the greedy banking system. Mr. Utter, you now have the floor.
What floor? Dang, young'un, can't you see we standing out here on the White House lawn? Ain't no floor here.
I'm sorry, my bad. Please continue.
All right, let me first start by saying the people don't really care about all the filthy rich and saving their portfolios, 'cause they knew the risk when they plunked down their money and bought into the scams by investors on Wall Street.
Well, we certainly understand that this evening.
Congress ain't come to the idea that the people got their own voices, and all this spending could be the end of the government as they know it.
Well, I'm sure President Obama will sign another bill authorizing the Federal Reserve to forfeit another $700 to $800 billion to bail out Congress once again.
It's my thoughts that if a man and a woman want to do some stock trading, they can trade online from the privacy of their own home or office nowadays. The net is open and available 24/7. We don't need Wall Street, and saying this, I'm talking about probably 200 million people in this country that ain't never seen no Wall Street, but they's expected to pay off the $700 billion that the super rich has done stole.
Please continue. Yuless Utter. tonight
You
from
can
the
tell
metro
that
area
shit to
of
someone
Washington,
else.
D.C., 444 News.
Well, this here is a no-brainer. If they had to give that money to all the people in the United States that was 21 years old and up to retirement age, here's what it would have did. With all that extra money, people would have the banks fat in the USA for sure. Everyone could pay off their home, car, bank loans, problem solved. Bringing into the food stamp program, stop welfare, small business loans ended, create one major healthcare insurance package for everybody, lift the burden of farm lending from FHA, abolish the offices associated with above mentioned. You won't hurt anyone working in them offices because they will be set for life anyway. And think about all the paychecks this would take off the government.
Well, Mr. Utter, you sure are wound up early in the interview this
Now
evening.
just sit down, youngin', and learn something, 'cause school is in. And Yuless Utter's about to teach you a lesson.
Well, Mr. Utter, if the people of the United States had all this so-called bailout money at their disposal, I just do not believe anybody would want to go back to work.
Ha! The lazy ones for sure wouldn't want to go back to work, and you can take that to the bank. And so what if the American people didn't want to go back to work after receiving all that money? Well, we got enough non-American people living in this here USA. We could put them to work. If not, Mexico and Africa and other countries are full of people that's needing jobs.
I totally agree with you there, Mr. Utter.
And guess what? They will show up on time, and that's a good way to end the border patrol. I say, let other countries do all the patrolling. They'll be glad to because their government wants the dollars that working people will send back home to their banks. And each country knows if they screw that up, we will just stop using their working people and pull more from somewhere else. And that speaks volume in dollars, and nobody wants to be left out on that, I'm sure.
You do make a great point, Mr. Utter, and
I
our
know what
phone
I'm
lines have
talking
lit up
about.
continuously
Ain't nobody
since
need
you've been
to
on
tell
the
me
air.
to hush
Everybody wants to know more about what you have to say.
Yeah, let them folks come here and go to work in America and accumulate some financial gain, then politely return them home for a little break with our best wishes for a safe and soon return. Because after all, we need them as much as they need us. The peoples that come here and work, when they return home, they'll be able to work for their government, teaching other individuals the trades and skills that they've learned here. What I'm trying to say is that if someone comes here and they work as a truck driver or a doctor or whatever, a fireman maybe, this will allow a man or a woman to be ready to join the workforce with pride.
Well, it sounds like you have it all worked out.
What I'm saying, young'un, is this would be a working, revolving system that would give everybody a chance. And I guarantee you we'd get to know all these folks from around the world, and you might even like some of them. Hey, at least they could learn the American language.
I believe that would stop the prompting of us pressing the number 1 for English on the telephone.
That's what Yuless is screaming about. Well, farmers that probably keep on farming, 'cause they got a lot of stuff that they got to do, you know. They own all the big fancy equipment and they got all the farmland tied up, so they ain't just gonna quit. And besides that, the money they would be getting is a drop in the bucket compared to what they love doing.
Thank you, Mr. Utter, for pointing that out.
And if the government had gave the $700 billion to the people, then they would want to tax us on that money. And I say take all that tax money and send it right on over to China and pay down that $500 billion debt that our government done rang up and get our country back from China. Why, them folks over on Capitol Hill, they shouldn't feel no loss. They should feel relief.
How do you feel about the war in the Middle East, Mr. Utter? Would you care to comment on that?
Shuck, yeah. Finish up in the Middle East and get our army out for good. We just walked in. We can just walk right back out.
Highlight us, if you will, on the price of gasoline and diesel here in the United States, Mr. Utter.
Well, I say let's all spend a few dollars and come up with a clean burning fuel. If that don't work, to heck with it. We drill in here no matter who says what.
I agree with you 100%. It is time we bring our own fuel and our own oils to our own people.
Yeah, and stop importing all that fuel and oil from other places.
Okay, on the school education system, give us your thoughts.
Well, the schools is all built thanks to the people and their tax dollars. What I'm saying is we got enough taxes in each county to pay for the upkeep. Let each state take care of themselves. We've been teaching over in other countries long enough. I say it's time to let some of them come over and put some of that smart learning to work here.
I'm beginning to like this guy more and more. What do you think, Washington, D.C.?
Well, I don't know about y'all, but we could run some ads on foreign TVs and ask them to teach and live in the USA. A great place to work and play, top pay and relocating fees included. Or simply develop a high-tech, fun computer system that programs schools online for kids of all ages, even a GED course. Kids and adults love to spend hours on the dang computer. That would save millions of gallons of gas and diesel in dollars every day.
It seems our listeners have fallen in love with Yuless Utter from Mayfield, Kentucky. Please continue.
Well, the justice system, I was thinking about that one. And, you know, we gonna always need some police protection, but not as much as they offering right now. There's always gonna be some crime going on somewheres. But if people had their part of the bailout money, they wouldn't be doing near as much crime, I can guarantee you that.
Mr. Utter, are there any other areas the government may look at or any possibility of saving money for the American people?
I'm glad you went and done asked me that right there. You know that Area 51? The government always said it ain't there, and there ain't no such things as little green men. Well, okay, if it ain't there, and there ain't no little green men, well, then we can cancel all them spaceflight programs and all the trillions of dollars that's behind all that junk. Let's take some of that money and use it to pay off the national debt and target other countries with peacekeeping missions and a plan for world peace without nuclear missiles pointed at everybody. We could also build more hospitals, maybe even find that cure for cancer or AIDS, or just support the world's leading scientists in their medicine ventures, no matter what country they're from, because the cure has got to come from somewhere. We don't care who gets the credit, just so long as the cure shows up, and we may find out we had that cure all along if we ain't careful.
Real quick, what's your take on the power companies in the United States?
Well, right off the top of Ulyss's head, I'm thinking we should put a freeze on all the oil and gas tax here in the United States, but leave just a little something in there for the government, you know, just to help them out a little bit. We don't want to hurt the people at the pump. And one more thing, please. Somebody tell Yuless what natural disaster or hurricane hit the national gas pipe and made the home heating gas go out the roof.
Okay, mothers, fathers, and children, what would be your take on the American family?
Well, if we all got a piece of them bailout money that they've been handing out, every mother and father in America that had time and resources to stay home with their children and teach them a lot more about responsibility issues and how to deal with things overseas and here at home, our country would pretty much be leading the world hands down on that, and if you ask me.
Okay, let's discuss wages in this country. What should the normal working man and woman start out with hourly wage? Where should that marker be set?
Well, Yuless is thinking around $9 and maybe 75 cents an hour, and you could increase that to a minimum of $16 by retirement ages. That's what you could do, and unless times call for higher pay, and it looks like at this point we calling all we can call.
Well, speaking for myself and the listeners here at 444 News, it does indeed sound like Yuless Utter may have been the man for the job at the White House. Mr. Utter, while we have you tonight, would you care to make mention or comment on Congress voting in their own pay scale?
Yeah, I believe I will. I don't think they should come up with their own numbers, 'cause ain't nobody really caring about what they coming up with anyway. It's a little bit much. Hey, they should only get maybe $100,000, and that's it for the whole year. And if they can't make it on that, well then they can go down to Walmart and get a job, or over at McDonald's, either one. They's is always hiring.
Okay, Mr. Utter, one last thing. Do you have anything you would like to say that could leave our listeners happy for the evening?
Yeah, I reckon I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all this. If we had all gotten our part of all them trillions of dollars in bailout money, guess what? We'd all got $3.2 million apiece, and that would cover 1,200 million people in the United States. So you can think about that, but that's the right number.